हाँ, हम दोनों बस लेते देते हैं एक दूसरे से। हाँ, पैसों के लिए बिल्कुल ऑब्वियसली। अकेले में बुला करके क्या किया था, सच सच बताना। टॉर्चर करना उसको। Administration is an effort that channelized to achieve the goals. So there are three M's are given. That is initially were difference in set up the organization, including private and public organization. So there is third wave. Third wave is change, like Alvin Toffler's publication is third wave. So cooperation, cooperative, established to achieve this purpose. Meanwhile, have the development and change that completely change the civilization. So this is an organization two component in inanimate, non-living as well as machine. So popular sovereign industrialization on other hands pressurized the firm and enterprises to increase the unit of production, and the industry require innovations as they become larger size. So this is machine that traditional methods become obsolete. So there are like what classical theory is a cog in a management, operation and administration management, bureaucratic management. Neoclassical is the neoclassical theory of administration, emphasizes on human elements. Modern, it deal with the animated component. Consider organization set of the position, assemblage of position include scientific management, operation management and the bureaucratic management. Taylor, Fayol and Weber. Neoclassical emphasis on human elements. It assumes the organization as an assemblage of function and interaction. So some of the important theory: Elton Mayo, Chester Bernard, Herbert Simon, G. Sargeris and McGregor and Linkert. Modern is includes system and contingency approach. It emphasizes on human elements and beyond the boundary of organization. Talk about the system and environment. And neoclassical, it's assumed the organization as an assemblage of function and interaction and emphasize on the human element. So Frederick W. Taylor scientific, previously organization and firms were run in the unorganized unscientific manner. This undertaking of the organization is unorganized and unregulated. So serious efforts was 19th century and theory scientific and organized pattern running. So considering father of scientific management, born the German town in Pennsylvania, age of the service operation for the 4 years without wage enterprises, hydraulic work Philadelphia, and engineer, then manufacturing investment company. Then Taylor was a product of this own rich experiences. This offered the unique opportunity to understand the organization inside out. His contribution is to development of the scientific management were recorded in papers, the piece rate system and shop management and the art of cutting metal and principle of scientific management. Principle of scientific management is the Taylor. Scientific management of the Taylor, identification of problem, then principle of scientific management, elements of scientific, initially an incentive based management, then it's work on their own initiative. Besides laborer did work for their incentive. So refers as initiative and incentive based on management of Taylor. And soldering is like if employees tend to restrict the work output. This is referred soldering by Taylor. There are two types of soldering, namely natural and the systematic soldering. So natural soldering are the restriction of output of result of the natural cause, such as the inherent quality and the shy, idle and lazy, incapable. The natural soldering according to the Taylor can be notified. Then scientific management, development of true science, scientific selection of training, the bringing together science work and scientifically selection train, division of work responsibility. छा कमती यार मम्मी पढ़न भी नहीं थी science, not rule of thumb. Harmony, not discard. Cooperation, not individualism. Maximum output in place of restricted output. Development in each greatest efficiency and prosperity. Time and motion study that failed best possible doing the work a job with the shop floor and broken down into the smallest indefinite activity, and this manner best techniques and methodology. The activities are sequenced in such a way that whole job is completed. Taylor himself conducted experiment. He was average worker, so product of 47 half pig. Piece rate system, wage payment system is the diffracted piece rate system. The task and time is standardized. The payment is made according to the performance, and ordinary wages paid to the defined output. Functional foremanship, so there will be the 8 bosses. In functional foremanship, O&M is also there: work and route clerk, instruction clerk, time and cost clerk, shop discipline, and speed boss, gang boss, inspector and repair boss. Speed, gang, repair, and the inspector boss best possible way to the experiment. The instruction and clerk converted the job of work and routes clerk, and description is responsible for maintaining norms and regulation and organization. The gang boss is field boss, who is responsible for giving the instructions and card to worker, and the arrangement of the equipment, communication and completion of the job. So principle of the exception is Taylor also knew about the exceptions, and according to him the manager had to intervene if the worker were unable to meet the targeted outputs. So scientific management, according to Taylor, primarily involve a complete mental revolution as part of the manager. The mental revolution is possible through the mutual cooperation. Without mental revolution, both sides scientific management can't be exist. So this is individualism by the cooperation. Both the parties take eyes of the division of surplus and all important matter, and together turn towards increasing the size of surplus until the surplus become large. Scientific management upon the improvement of successful venture. It brought about the effective use of labor, material and management capacity. Cooperation between the managers and eliminating the wastage and skill. The practice of scientific management, split business. हू वीना है हुन चेती में गोटे दुकाने मथा हू केस कर लाथो तन से वीना तो सेड़ी केस कर ची भाई आ एक उन असांखा पैसा घुरिया हुआ असां ॾिनासीं पैसा वापसि ॾिनई कान, हाणे वरी असांजे मथां उल्टो केस कयो थी भी हिन असांजी दुकान हथी आई आहे। चए थी पोइ हाणे पुलिस असां वटि ईंदी आहे। मां चयोमांसि पुलिस त ईंदी छो कोन ईंदी, त चई हाणे पुलिस छा कंदी असां। चयोमांसि पकिड़े नी तव्हांजे मर्दनि खे छा कंदी, त अचे थी पोइ छा करो। चयोमांसि तव्हां सबूत हूंदा न दुकान जा, सबूत ॾेखारो, ॿियो छा कंदा। सबूत ॾेखारंदा त ॿुधाए हेठि ईंदी, सबूत कान ॾेखारंदा त पकिड़े वेंदो अंदरि सीधो। पोइ चई ईअं थींदो आहे। चयोमांसि हा भई इहो ई रूल त इहो ई आहे, बिना सबूत जे त सभु पकिड़े वेंदा आहिनि। अच्छा केरु पकिड़ियो अथसि दुकान में? अच्छा Field works like Taylor were the product of rich experience in organization. He was born in France and graduated mining engineering. He joined the mining company as a commentary fourth is the engineer. Lost position of manager director company, and he was until death. During this tenure of the manager director mining firm enabled the company to rise from the position of the bankruptcy to that of the financial success. So Fayol was science of management should be replaced rule of thumb university administration theory. So according to Fayol, there are no differences between any organization and for achievement of goals. Any organization, whether it is a public or private, big or small, religious, political, has undertaken certain activities. These achievements, goals are depends on the work. So the technical work, commercial work, then security management. Fayol believed that the 5 firm groups are segmented in nature, and these 5 functions can be performed in the isolation, but the management in integral none of a function can be taken up without consideration of administration activity. For the class about planning is a envision the future of the outline of path, and organization is a systematic way to allocating the human and material sources. The allocation of resources should be neat, well and coordinated. Commanding, directing, the administration should be able to direct the manpower. Coordination is the bringing harmony, and control is administration should ensure the performance of the worker within the organization. So Fayol focus on the manager, that is approach of managerial. Manager is the should ensure the success of organization. Organizations or division of work means specialization is very important. Authority, responsibility, discipline, unity of command is should be accountable to only one subordinate and coordinate the direction. And we all believe that the command is contradictory to the tailor functional where workers are working for eight functional. Unity of direction, subordinate of the individual interest to the general interest, remuneration of the personal, and centralization. So this is a scalar chain hierarchy. Hierarchy is a position within the organization which is placed in relation to both the superordinate and subordinate position. It is vertical perspective when all the layers of the hierarchy is position taken together from top to bottom, then it is referred as a scalar chain. Even the chain of command, it is notion which connect the two layers. Fayol believe that the line of authority should not be broken, and while dealing with the various issue, then it resulted to chaotic scenario. And the figure is the chief of organization A and M, and this one states this was the B should report to the A and A to O, and this finally deal with dispose of if in scenario say the C has a particular issue, then this principle is scalar chain deal with the A and O, and this was order means colonial. Order means to direct the command, but order means placing the right man at right place. For instance, a doctor can't place where engineer is required. In this situation, doctor's skill and are useless. So equity is very important for remuneration in concern with the payment of salary. Stability of the tenure, that is believed to be the stability of tenure, hence expertise in the individual in the particular position. Stability should be based on the professional reason. Initiative, which is organization, the manager should always be encouraging initiative. Spirit, the corps are the a feeling of harmony. And Henry Fayol observed that the 14 principles were universal, flexible. By universality, Fayol means that if a principle is applicable in one organization, then it will be applicable to another organization. So the universality of the principle should be rigidity, but the 14 principles were flexible. This means number of the principle applicable in the particular situation may decrease. In principle of decentralization, Fayol himself talked about the exception decentralization manager. Fayol also observed that the level of the specialization should be optimum and it will be lead to overlapping and confusion. It like Henry Fayol managing the function approach, division of work, shop floor management, engineering and approach, and functional foremanship. It is quite natural that any scholar can't escape it because any search or work is bound by constraint such of time and advancement technology. Henry Fayol was criticized by many coming out overlapping principle. A number of scholars are the remuneration, equity, and likewise subordination of individual interest to general interest. Okay, so Peter Drucker is Fayol imposing the mechanistic model, and this management was both the single dimension of an as a result Fayol theory of management was too narrow. Since it was based single dimension, it lacked the logic and design, and Fayol theorized his function on the basis of function undertaken manufacturing company. Peter Drucker therefore argued that any more complex, more dynamic entrepreneurship that is typing mining from firm and Fayol time demands for performance capability and function of not process. So Fayol unity of command has been severely criticized by many, especially by the Gulick and Ulrich. Both believe that the application of the principle of unity of command would overwhelm the chief executive, which is problem coordination. According to the Fayol principle of unity of command, for any action and employ only one boss, and this was a subordinate under the increase the this become the communicate the coordinate. Loser, Hasley and Gulick and Linda Ulrich, these was both experienced research and this work to visit their unique military organization. Luther Gulick, Osaka, Japan, serves the National Defense Council and First World War Society Research Institute of New York, reserved for the New York City, and this was chairman of Institute of Public Administration. So Linda Ludwig was a colonel during this, making the scientific management and elements of administration pattern of management leadership. This all was from him. Now, planning postcode is given by the Fayol, improved upon the concept of Fayol, and every letter represent the planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. And principle of Gulick and Ulrich are the Fayol 14 principle, Monet principle, process, effect, Taylor's principle, followed, Racuna's 2 principle, and derived from the 20 principles. The division of work, departmentalization based on purpose, process, place, and process. Coordination in the hierarchy is very important. A deliberate coordination by idea, conflict, the policy, low and vague. So this is conflict prone areas. Coordinating so the committees. So therefore, to no conflict arise between the two, but decentralization is very important. Unity of command, staff and lines. So this is all about this. Now delegation is the should be considered only the important function of remaining the function delegated subordinate. Span of control talking about n-1 cross relations. So this is simultaneously geometrical growth in permutation and combination of the relationship, and the relationship was better explained via Greconas. A French consultant, Greconas, come with the formula which came to be known the Greconas formula, and three types of superior subordinate relationships and single direct group and cross relations. Now Urvik also come to the 10 principle, that is principle of objective, principle of specialization, principle of coordination, principle of authority, principle of responsibility, principle of correspondence, principle of definition, principle of span of control, principle of balance, principle of continuity. According to the principle, structure is very important. Unity of leadership, one top executive, and unity of command, that is subordinate should be accountable to the superordinate. Staff general special is very important for leaders, and leaders need to assistance from running. And communication, increasing role of the international bodies, UN, WHO, increasing role of national government, that is begun to touch the lives of individuals from the multiple dimension. So the classical theory of administration has been criticized by Herbert Simon and Dwight Waldo read with Simon. Simon remarked that the principle of classical theory, when confirmed the evidence, the principle of span of control contradict principle of communication, principle of specialization, departmentalization based on 4P, and the classical theory advocated the rule of thumb replace the science of management. But the Chris Argyris observed that the principle of classical theory unscientific and organization, according to the Argyris, is the assemblage of individual interaction and the informal. Max Weber was the textile manufacturing in Western Germany. He studied law in the University of the Herzberg. He wrote the number of papers of law focusing on attention of social, political, economic study of the administration. Developed the principle based on the research, which is the primary, secondary source of the study phenomena, social change and stratification and process of rationalization. So this was the political administration phenomena. Study of political administration phenomena is the bureaucratic model. Rationalization, according to the paper, is a process which is involved two perspectives, positive and negative. The positive perspective include the elements of consistent, logical, and then involve the correlation. So this was the they are studying the process of rationalization. Weber theory of domination means the authority. So this is authority, and this is traditional, patriarchal, and perennial, charismatic and legal rational. So this is traditional authority, this is patriarchal authority, and this is patrimonial authority. Charismatic is for the Mahatma Gandhi and charismatic leader. Legal rational is rule regulation because they are legal of the law. So administrative system is charismatic. Now administrative system is patrimonial and legal, rational and bureaucracy. So traditional authority is usually run by two type of the administration. Patrimonial and feudal system is system that they are organized with the scientific approach system. So patrimonial is system highly centralized with the kith and kin of the loyal. So the feudal system is found mostly in the continental Europe. It is similar with the patrimonial system, and this was the follower. There no defined administrative system. Pure type Weber believed to be type exists, reality rather mixed type of exists. The charismatic authority is the provisional of temporal authority. When charismatic authority become irrelevant, usually resort to either the process dismantle or institutionalized. So institutionalization, charismatic authority. The authority is it may be adopt the traditional and legal rational authority. Weber is hierarchy. So organization is very important for this, and this was used the control and supervision of higher office. This is clear separation between the superior and subordinate. Sphere of specialization, that is the individual occupying the position for the process. Impersonal law of individual occupant, for instance, irrespective of individual occupying office of district magistrate. Written records and bureaucracy in the organization which conduct the business primarily on the basis of written communication, formulated and records are there. Merit based bureaucracy, that is select the merit basis in the recruitment, selection, promotion and transfer. detached spirits, like there should be not misuse of position. Career system, that is like should be fixed salary for the particular position. No bureaucratic head to it, but bureaucracy is legal, rational, and its integrity, honesty, science, rationality. Bureaucracy is a discussed waiver, integrity, honesty, and the science, neutrality, impartiality, anonymity, no fear, criticism for the matter, worry about the credit. The credit or the criticism should accrue to the non-bureaucratic head, so the bureaucracy should be concerned only with the implementation of the law. Meanwhile, Weber also discussed some of the negative aspects of the bureaucracy. He feared the bureaucracy was lead to the alienation of psychological separation, society and organization. Bureaucracy function with impersonality, detach the spirit. So individual may slow lose itself. So this is what believed that the demand for bureaucratic model. Besides, Weber was worried about bureaucracy, which is instrument may be institutional bureaucracy in the administration system used to the intentions or goal. This accomplished by the goal of the expert, and this was the group of the implement achieve the goal. So bureaucracy are which is mean to the end and may become the itself. Separation of power, define types of management and compromise related to the between the parties involved, and collegiality, responsibility of the share between the more bodies overlapping, thereby resulting the vestige. Amateurism, direct democracy, representative democracy. Direct democracy is the facilitator, but this is the system of difficult to adopt it. So the representative democracy is the representative democracy most appropriate. Emergence of bureaucracy, Weber examined this, and bureaucracy was an answer to the demand. The demonstration standardized the capitalism believe in the competition economy, therefore definitely played a major role in emergence of bureaucracy. Democracy is the democracy believe quality of the individualism. Hence, for bureaucracy did not much about, but the Weberian bureaucracy model is reversed and several criticism. So the Felix Seljuk, Robert Merton, Elvin Gardner, the functional model, and this is Weberian bureaucratic model, legal rational model of Weber, and this was legal rational bureaucracy function under the impersonal law and give importance. So goals become itself, and this basing the Merton was providing a more sophisticated vindication of view and bureaucracy. So the Peter Drucker had similar view of the Robert K. Merton and relativism. So Philip Seljuk conducted the empirical study, and grassroots publications. Seljuk remarked that there is a generally tendency toward the centralization and general dislike toward the central decentralization. Weberian form of bureaucracy become the increasing complexity and size in operation, so the authority and responsibility have to be transferred to the number of the hierarchy and unit. So subunit have loyalty towards the subunit goals rather than bigger organization goal, and this aim goal of subunits are organization goal. Therefore, the final goal of organization and get to space. Seljuk henceforth conducted the Weberian bureaucracy and dysfunctional. So, pattern of industrial bureaucracy published by Elvin Goldner and conducted the empirical study with the help of the person criticism. Elvin Goldner distinguished two major types of bureaucracy: punishment center and representative bureaucracy. And this is one of the member of the organization with rules and necessary for the benefits, interest, and rule regulation law to ensure the maximum productivity, increase the productivity. Therefore, they try to regulate the subordinate task, and this direct the commanding, therefore eliminating the subordinates. So this is since the productivity, the superior again frame the rules, and the cycle continue and result in contradictions. So Lawrence de Peter Raymond Hall criticized the Weberian bureaucracy, and through the Weber claim bureaucracy is a merit based. He promoted where restricted to the particular group, and every individual in the hierarchy rose to the position where individual is incompetent. The person who is most competent is the future positions, and the individual suitable to occupy the position. So Parkinson study colonial affairs and decolonization. Number of British colony decreasing gradually, and more number of the countries becoming independent. Colonial affairs, but a stark contrast number of administration units dealing with the colonial affairs. Parkinson law and law of rising pyramid. Size of organization increasing according to the completion of job. The primary satisfaction derived from the jurisdiction, and this was bureaucrat jurisdiction self-importance, and the bureaucracy in simplifying of the things. And Weberian bureaucracy reflect the Bentham's Dock's law, and bureaucracy is reflective rather than being proactive. The state is expected to proactive so that make the people aware of the law, and the Weberian bureaucracy emphasized on structure, work division, power differentiation, centralization, political administration, restriction, machine like rigid impersonal There had been a number of the theoretical development and organization which contradict the Weberian bureaucracy. So there has been at least 9 innovation: public choice, school bureaucracy, democracy, contrast, critical theory, phenomenological approach, anti-ideological, anti-Eurocentric, Marxist idea, normative question, inter-theoretical linkage. The protagonist public choice school, including the Anthony Downs and Tulloch and William Niskasen. So this was bureaucracy considered central problem with bureaucratic organization and inefficient method providing the goods and services. Max Weber bureaucracy emerged of the brief of democracy, and Weber observed that the democracy believed in the egalitarian principles and theories. Bentham, Thompson, Halvey were the opinion the bureaucracy and the democracy. According to the Thompson, associated with democracy and equality participation. So bureaucracy adopts the top-down approach based on principle of hierarchy. Bureaucracy tries to bring standardizations, and bureaucracy is exclusive. Democracy is bottom-up approach, believe in the equality. Democracy bring about the standardization, and democracy govern with the inclusive approach. Critical theory is forwarded by the Jürgen Habermas and the Klaushofe and the Frankfurt. So this was the high critical about the Weberian bureaucracy, and this is Weberian bureaucracy based on the organization, rationality, and belief in the hierarchy and span of control. It is not about dynamism. The critical theory advocated the systematic rationality based on humanizations and democratization of free flow of communication, and emphasize on the goal and thematization of goals. Of phenomenological approach emphasize on the subjective and the symbolic dimension. So this government believed that the responsibility of organization compare act rather than progress. The phenomenological approach rejected the Weberian model, and the individual in the Weberian bureaucracy organization are selected to particular political position based on the requisite merit. Individual get the remuneration from the perform the job. There is hierarchy for a position. Hierarchy enjoy the authority and responsibility. The individual have no discretion. Whosoever occupy the position perform the job in the expected defined manner, and this depends on the person occupying the position. Therefore, the job is organization created and recreated. Anti-ideological and anti-Eurocentric approach. Idea Weberian model being criticized and ideological Eurocentric. So this is the encouraging the social, economic, cultural aspects. Normative questions are there. The emergence of philosophy or neoliberalism has provided impetus to the setting up the administration. John Rawls and logic. Inter-theoretical linkage. Public administration is modern era should be bring about the three distinct inter-theoretical linkage: political administration, genuine economic administration, and confluence of political economic paradigm. Good governance. Nicholas Henry governance is institutionalized the networked government. Bureaucratic model is tool of the Max Weber and believed upon the indispensability bureaucracy modern society. Now this is the form view that was like Karl Marx was city of the revolution, which was Eagle and Karl Marx Western Marxist. So this was about the well known for the Marx are critics of the Hegel philosophy, writes Communist Manifesto, which is Labor and Capital, and the Capital volume of second and third revised the published Eagles. So Marxism is deal with the society. The first society came existence of the primitive communism, capitalist society, and slowly replaced the feudal society. And Marx was the primitive, ancient feudals, then capitalist temporal phase and communalism. So this all about the Marx adopted the dialectic principle to make society the composed two distinct classes, haves and have-nots, and this was cooperation. They are dominated. Therefore, this effort to maintain the cooperation, and Marx position everything in society established such as the have and dominate the have-nots. In fact, everything in society is a manifestation and derivative of the economic term, religious culture, and festival man-made institution. So this was the individual society reflected to the hierarchical structure, and the handmade institution remorse for protect the economically dominated class. Karl Marx and Weber. Nevertheless, Marxism referred to the post-Weberian, since Weberian bureaucratic model, and Marx believed that bureaucracy take of the particular section of society, and Marx was conflict relation. Marx was so critical about the bureaucracy. Marxist focused the communism. It advocated bringing about the stateless society, and this will break the infrastructure exploitation. Everyone will becomes owner. There will be only one class. This single class will lead to one common interest. and the bureaucracy will no longer needed run to the itself to coexist. Marx philosophy become so this was the developing country and number of the problems so rich and greater, richer and poor and poorer. So neo-Marxism was the Karl Marx. Neo-Marxism was Marxist fundamental way, and neo-Marxism is liberal and known for the Western, and this was the Jürgen Habermas and Althusser Gramsci. Marx believed that society and the bureaucracy enjoyed the comparative more autonomy, and this was operate in the manner that not affect the larger group. Eastern Marxism is Soviet Union and the Eastern European countries. In fact, Soviet Union can read the Marxist-Leninism and Stalinism. Post-Weberian structure of organization. So legal rational organization but non-bureaucratic. This organization differ the Weberian bureaucracy and the organization relation to the environment changed rapidly and the organization have become more turbulent and this was dynamic environment. This organization for the fluidic, very dynamic and fast changing. So Weberian bureaucracy is static, not recognize the dynamic. So now this is the project organization is autonomous and specifically for the legal rational organization non-bureaucratic in approach. The organization may appoint a group, may consist 5 skilled employee and solve problem. This group is referred as project organization. Responsibility to be achieved. The leader of project organization just merely a presiding officer. Project organization once a special goal are achieved, they are dismantled and the public sector was restored the structure. Matrix organization it's a project organization. Project organization, it is small, flat and goal oriented, but it has grid like organization structure. Project organization superimposed. Dismantled. Recent time the public sector has resorted his form of structure achieve the specific goal. Matrix organization is very similar to project organization. It modifies the version of the project organization. Like the project organization, it is small, flat and goal oriented, but here is grid like organization. Maximize the human resource organizations and suffer from one disadvantage over the project organizations and possibility of the frequent. So projects and matrix organization is intellectually so free from the organization, fluidic, dynamic and flexible. Authority or Alvin Toffler are the Adoheric organization and Hannon population ecology organization. Among this well known for the organization, Pentagon is free from this result of the rigid structure. They believe that the dynamism environment and this dealing with the problem fluidic free environment and advocate to open and flexible structure. So virtual organization is for the not real but difficult to ascertain organization based on the technology and opportunity, maximum utilization of trust, the practical linkage of authority of vision product. It may be understanding of idea of the P and A associated say BDE to materialize projects with this. Boundaryless organization is similar to the virtual organization but decentralization and the span of control. As the name of indicate the boundaryless organization case of cross hierarchical relation established individual communicate to another. A consul provides the service a number of the clients. So theory JAD is for American organization. Model organization. In fact, the American organization was efficiency effectiveness. They were reversed to the admired to the country. But this American organization was outmatched Japanese organization. The Japanese organization was efficient and productive. In American organization, the recruitment was based on merit and promotion of performance based and individual could reach to the top hierarchy at the young age of mid-14 and this was the efforts that the stagnated were reached to the top level into the boardroom. The American organization was hire and fire. This led to the sense of alienation. The recruitment in Japanese organization based on merit and intake to the comparatively lower level hierarchy. Therefore, the process of promotion slow. The members of organization had the opportunity to grow, and this keeps the employee motivated. So this is permanent. This brings the more psychological attachment decision and Japanese organization based on the ringi system, and this was the individual performance of the organization were integrated to the extra social and activities are the individual who are seen are hardworking. Now next one is the W theory. O both the philosophicals are ideas and the W has advocated the organizations and depends merely participation. The other depend on the individual and make other the winner. So this is about the bring about the mutual trust and confidence. Not only the understood but also have the work to this, and this was the X, Y and Z believe to the organization will be successful. Individual organization develop the maximum sense of attachment feeling being the employee totally different. So this was in fact this should be first to bring about the maximum attachment. Mary Baker followed doctrine of interpenetration, doctrine of world of critical theory, classical theory, participation of democracy. This was about the new states, creative experiences, households, representative, dynamic experiences, dynamic administration. So, doctrine of interpenetration is one of social interaction with influence and refer to the doctrine of interpenetration. Doctrine of whole that is for the group of influence individual thereby leading to the creative synthesis and ideas. Participatory democracy getting the identified it is final output, and a true state should be bring about the harmony, cooperation, collective orientation and brotherhood. Polite therefore contradict with the representative democracy as bring harm one. So this representative democracy when goes unrestricted promote the individual orientation rather bringing the harmonious cooperation. The Follett remarked that the home of my soul is in the state. The interest of the group and the interest of the individual should be mutually inclusive. Individual draw strength from the group and the group become stronger because of the individual, vice versa. And India becomes strong, Indian is strong, so Indian becomes the strong if India is strong. So individual in the group followed, therefore believed in the collective approach, promoted hostility, separation, isolation. Ballot of democracy is purely never game, but the elected representative may not have support all the people. Follett rejected a representative democracy, rationalization, arbitrary decisions, and the policy has formulated the political for the benefits of the few. Now, as the business of the politicians, the hoping is the ones that is after this is for the consuming now interest. In fact, the representative democracy is the law of consent, and the Follett advocated the law of coordination. Mary Baker Follett highly critical on classical theory. She rejected the classical theory, and classical theory was based on the static approach. The classical theory treated as a machine, so and the individual in the organization was treated part of the big machine. Cog and individual were the machines. An organization skilled worker just achieved this in the restricted manner. So organization was concerned with the technological economical aspect also. Conflict, leadership, planning, coordination, order and power, authority and responsibility. So classical theory Follett believe conflict not destructive and destructive constructive. So the superior organization should understand the conflict, and this trading conflict dimension, compromise and integration. Domination is the indicate is a victory of side over the side. So idea of this party, the one simplest way to resolving the conflicts is the domination is presented the domination party. Therefore, the productive performance is reduced. The organization failed to gain the hostility rather than the organization in compromising this side. So this was effectively what the conflicting party wait for the opportunity moment in the reignite the conflict, thereby making the organization conflict prone. And harmony requires efficient functioning of the organization. Integration, unlike the domination compromise, consider the idea of the conflicting party and come up with a new and productive solution. The conflicting side don't have the sacrifice with the view. It bring about the new idea and lead to the better technique. So this instead the suppressing this have to the uncovered identify the should be considered a break them and constitute party. So this was about the examining the symbols circular manner, and in circular response are the everyone gains organization gain. Order are very important to stable for environment conditions and the effectiveness of the order. Conscious attitude, responsible attitude, experimental attitude and pulling results. So this the most important environment aspect of depersonalization of order. The order should show the situation, not the superior have to avoid the excessive bosses in the giving orders. So the order is the realizing fully should be law of situation. This means both the superior and subordinate should be agreed to the order of situation. Part of situation, then the question someone giving the orders and depersonalization of order mean the excessive authority. Follett observed that the situations are never rather evolve the changes. Therefore, orders should never be static rather than with the changing environment. So the conditions building the attitude, providing the positive release, augmenting the releasing. Leadership is Follett is very critical for the success of organization. It refers to the particular phenomena of individual able to understand the appropriate situation in totality. Individuals should be able to encourage the desired initiatives, and the leader should be allowed to the order of integral situation, coordination, definition, anticipation, and according to Follett are the three main functions. Leadership by position, leadership by personality, leadership by functions is name of the indicate the leadership by position, and individual become the leaders by virtue of her position and the very phase of the leadership by position. Explain the conceptualization of such logical theories and organization hierarchical relation between the superior subordinate authority, the superior or virtue of the position enjoy all the powers, and the leader expressed to process by all the skills, abilities. Finally, power, authority, and responsibility. The leadership positions or leadership personality are the different. So this will be the not require the skill in this leaders may have a skill but not rank. So Follett defines the authority according to Follett vested power, right to develop the excessive power. It is individualistic or isolated but cumulative pluralistic. Authority, particularly positions, flow from the or multiple directions. Authority can be conferred to delegated. It is not the joint success. Responsibility and authority should ask for what the responsibility, then the whom are responsible. Control, important aspect to achieve the organization goal and process of ensuring the subordinate conformity to standard organization. Follett believed that the fact control rather than the man control and superior controlling for this situation. The control effectively only if the control correlated. So coordination is direct control and very important for this. And coordination is early state coordination as a containing the process coordination and reciprocal summing up complete discharge of this equal. Follett recognize the dynamism aspect of organization. We have classical theory administration. This was the individual, and the classical theory deal with the variable aspect of the organization, and this she not credited but human relation approach. Mayo was the MA degree in the logic and philosophy. Then he was become the professor. Then focus on attention of psychology, physical, economic, psychological, the economic conditions. Then Mayo for the adoptive society and first inquiry Hawthorne and the absenteeism. So textile mill Philadelphia was the model organization, but in the mill spinning department. Then he was 250 for the mill spinning department. Textile mill try with the sort of schemes method and improve the condition of the mill spinning department. Then Elton Mayo may holistically study the considering all possible angle of like physical, social, and psychological approach and refer to the clinical method of Mayo. First diagnose the problem based on the symptoms and establishing the nature of problem. Mayo found through the study of the personal working mill spinning department, and first of all it is the noise of the machine which is worker unable to communicate. So sadly the fatigue there were 10 to 14 machines, but Mayo came up with the idea of the rest period. He introduced 2 before 2 after lunch. Surprisingly the productivity increased, the fatigue was eliminated and worker able to interest. So the labor turnover almost came to the end. Now workers were able to reduce this and they set the targets and they can get the bonuses. Like Mayo suggestion, therefore they came up with a new system in view of heavy demands for goods superior and done away with new system earning houses. The production further decreases. Elton Mayo's study of the Hawthorne experiment, and this was the great elimination, relay assembly, and human attitude and sentiments and banquiring. Great elimination established two group of female and worker symposium research team found regardless of level of elimination and production both. So this Elton Mayo team and the Ross Gilsberg and William Dixon that are physical aspect of the environment impact on the organization productivity. Relay assembly was the several elements such as the friendly and informal supervision, shorter worker hours, working day, free interaction among the group of members, better wages and working atmosphere. Production surprisingly kept increasingly supporting the Mayo view of informal aspects, social, psychological, human attitude and the sentiments. Started the conducting the interview, and this was worker asked to the express the freely and frankly and beginning. This was the formal and did not affirm. So techniques are the interview change. This interview asked to the worker comfortable. Interview did not interrupt to the between the rather listened. Now Mayo team found the productivity increased by the ventilation therapy. Bank is would be the different if the workers was not aware of about the experiment, and this was certain Mayo team. And now absenteeism is during this World War II found shop in the industry invited solve the problem, and they started the research. He identified that the problem was the informal. He suggested to management and they should be formation of informal group, and workers should be treated as human being and should be helpful to another supervision. So this was Mayo explored the social aspect of organization influenced by group and how the individual influenced by group. Rebel hypotheses were proposed by the herd hypothesis and Carey and other criticism of Hawthorne experiment being unscientific rather than the lack of scientific base. The cooperative girls was participated in research, knew that study were undertaken. Sample size, taste and control group was too small, and the research did not follow the well-defined step to the research. So United Auto Work brand and Hawthorne research was the cow sociologist, and the auto worker observed that Hawthorne researchers has limited outlook, and the researchers simply tried to understand the group individual and group impact. So authority and decision making, communication, leadership, power, and considered the research, and this get the minute details of the organization. Charles Bernard was organization cooperative system theory of authority, system of coordination, formal and informal organization, fiction, authority, executive function. So she worked for the Bell Company, then earned the honorary doctorate. Mio Oliver Sheldon, now he was a practitioner. So man, being a social in nature, want to get associated. It is very much spontaneous of human being and cooperate. Bernard in the longer truth than the male cooperates spontaneously. Men enter into the deliberate association goal. These limitations are mostly biological and physical and temporal. However, forced men enter into the calculated. Bernard observed that the organization's cooperative social system rather system of consciously coordinated activity. So composed of human being, a system in the whole always greater than the parts, and an organization has the three major ingredient: common purpose, willingness to contribute, and communication. So cooperative and the subjective. The common purpose serves an element of cooperation. The cooperation perspective, objective, impersonal and external. The individual of the organization should be a contributor to accomplish by the common purpose, and organization will be efficient. The organization needs commitment, and individual contribution is bartered benefits offers. So this was contribution of organization contradicting the classical theory. So monetary and non-monetary, he explained through the concept of inducement, and the Bernard was there was a broad category, general, specific, association, attractiveness based upon the compatibility and the associate peer group, working conditions, adaptation of the workers, opportunity to the feeling of the enlarged participation, communication for the others, and interaction to establish the commandship and mutual support. So managerial inducements, personal non-material opportunity for distinction and desirable and physical condition to work, ideal beneficiaries such as the pride and workmanship, benevolent service for the others. So the inducement can't be applied mechanically, and their proper depends upon the particular situation, time and individual. Finally, Bernard believed that the sound system of communication to convey the purpose of the organization also make the exercise of the authority meaningful. The formal organization similar to that of the what common purpose, willingness to contribute and communication. So this aggregate personal concept, interaction, association and group of the people based on the personal relationship. Bernard major contribution formal and informal organization. So the informal aspect help to the protect the personal integrity and the personal fear. The informal aspect as the organization go on the stable zone of indifference. Satisfaction character is on order to understand the ineligibility consistent with the organization purpose, and to order should be compatible and physical mental ability to comply with the order. Satisfaction certain condition as the fall within the zone of indifference, zone of the type of the psychological individual. For this, Bernard observed that while giving order should not only take care of the character of the order but also give effect equal attention to the zone of indifference. The zone of indifference should be uh, increased while the zone of denial should be reduced. So zone of denial, zone of indifference increased. So fictions authority, the fictions of authority is manipulative aspect, so the manager should take the advantage of belief idea and the fiction. So this IT firms, there may be rumors and internet surfing, so social sites. This may not be true, but the manager can be take the advantage of rumors. So the characteristic basis of the exercise of authority is on leadership rather than authority. Bernard remarked the skill, better expertise related to the job and subordinate. So acceptance of the order is subordinate and the power of veto. Acceptance of order hence the subordinate. However, it is the responsibility of subordinates to the failure of superordinate. Theory of coordination is paralysis of action is accomplished by the emotional tension and sense of frustration, uncertainty, loss of decisiveness, and lack of confidence. Guilt feeling, this is conformance code of violation and other resulting in a sense of guilt, discomfort, dissatisfaction, loss of respect. Innovative strategy, which was the satisfy immense desire and impulse interest of discrete code of confirm all this may. And Bernard remarked that the executive actions are always conducted by concept of morality and responsibility complete the rather than process. In other words, the responsibility not determined individual occupy the positions may lead to the defined actions, and this was knowledge. Bernard was very firm of the primary function of the executive, establish sound system of the communications and convey the organization goal. So this was decision making, like the channels of communication definitely known, objectivity will be there, line of communication, competence, line of communication should not be interrupted, every communications are authentic, decisions in a choice and according to Bernard decision making is action involved and deliberations, calculations. So the establishing mean and relationship decision making according to the Bernard or personal organization. In personal decision making, decision taken by the private individuals and decision is taken officially capacity. So the organization decision making is always based on the logical and rational and moral and opportunistic components. So the moral component medium achieve the goals, and this opportunity component strategic element include the factor which are established to ensure accomplishment, to establish the sound system of communication, secure the essential series from the individual and organization, the executive responsible formulation of organization. Simon is a group of dynamics. So Bernard is function of executive with sensitivity to influence Simon's thinking about the administration, and Simon considers decision making is a core administration. To him, administration is nothing but decision making. So Simon criticized the principle of the classical theory, but all called the proverbs, myths, and slogans. Principle of classical individual logical and well argued principle applied to the simultaneously. Span of control maximum 5 to 6 subordinate will be there. Principle of span of control is adhered, and there will be the increased level of organization. Principle of communication is for the span of control increase, and therefore both the principles are contradictory. There should be a division of work and the period of skills for the performance of, but the command propagated that each subordinate should be ordered to the superior only. Departmentalization for P dysfunction, Simon is hardly referenced, so this was purpose. Instance, the Ministry of Finance was there. Consider department maybe for P. For instance, the this criticism classical theory or Herbert Simon particularly relevant to the Gulick and Norvig, since these theories belong to the group classical theories refer to the criticism. And now decision making, fact, value, nature of decision making, mode of influence, stages of decision making, types of decision making, and variability of essentialities being the science and science administration Farrell and the essay commonly for this and came out with the 14 flexible principles. Simon rejected the classical view and explained the fact and value, the explained difference between the factual and value component. Simon had used the mean and paradigm and the factual component in the means and medium of component and value. Ethical preferences, this means and end. The means today may become the end, and when goal is achieved, the achieved goal may be become the means and future goal. So the Simon is interested in the developing the science and administration propagated that science should be built the factual premises. There is no place for the ethical statement. He considered the factual and value premise in the very wall of the administration, and Organization, according to Simon, is structure of the decision maker, and the decisions are made at all level of organization. Decision making is short activity rather than involved, so the intelligence, design, and choice. Intelligence is occasion requires the decision making, and found organization is environment is understood the condition which is for the identical, such as the conditions are the data, identifying the development, analyzing the data, strategy created, alternative course of actions in final the choice phase, and this was later on more feedback. So decision maker is therefore discuss the founded rationality, undermine the concept of rationality, rather promoted rationality. So this is economic admin, social man, and the economic man calculate the cost benefit analysis. Social man motive to the consider the ties and bonds relations, and he undesirable organization. Finally, the administration man knows the impossible, calculate all the alternative, and like economic man is good enough and solution. So this try to the ability to the maximize the satisfaction. He is governed by the bounded rationality. Types of decisions are the programmed and non-programmed. Simon explained the concept of bounded rationality, and this was the social man is motive and effective. The considers ties the bond, relation, and relative. His understand to the organization. Final, the administration man known that it's impossible to calculate the alternative, and like economic man, he find the good enough dissolution. And he is the governed by the bounded rationality. It is some that is not the best price but the fair price. Simon makes the distinction between types of decisions, programmed, non-programmed. Nothing is new. The level of rationality is the decision is comparatively higher, and the non-programmed decisions are novel and unstructured and unusual. So this is involve the higher risk. Both the organization, so decision costly and organization, she should always take the attempt to increase the rationality of decision making. And Simon also discussed the method of converting the non-programmed decision to programmed decisions. Traditional strategy. In traditional strategies with skill, innovation, and Simon advocated non-strategy. The neo strategy and techniques are mathematical tools and economical data. So this was the commitment of the members towards the sub goal. The organizations have become the more complex, and there was a number of sub organization and the sub goals. So introduction of values, preferences to decision makings, and decision makings are now cultural, family, religious, rationality are the decisions compromised. So Simon also deal with the basis for motivation and organization. Influences are further observed that basis for motivations are bounded one to they become, so the contribution, satisfaction, and equilibrium is for individual. Also evaluate the 0 point. 0 point is the best opportunity for the forgot. The individual is fully committed only when this is a 0 point, but not in zone of indifference. Simon also discussed zone of acceptance, and the zone of acceptance is a positive psychological state. Authority is attempted, and a member of organization loyal to the organization if they is able to identify themselves with the organization. criteria. While the zone of acceptance or organization loyalty influenced by value prevents efficiency implies the adoption of shortest path, cheapest means of desired goal, not E. Long and Vincent Ostrom criticized the reviving indiscriminate political enemy dichotomy. The classical theory believed that political enemy dichotomy, according to them, politics is value-based and effective-based. Simon, like the classical theory, believed in the science, and this was the ethical component of value, and Simon firmly advocated to the based on the factual. So apparently this was the considering the factual part of administration. Ostrom and Long propagated the political administration fusions. Francis Linkert is established the survey and is being an organization behavioralist provided the explanation for the basis for science of management, a mega research for the mission studies, and this was the Linkert primarily based on the particularly research, and this was new pattern on management, new human organization, new way of managing the conflict, new human organizations, and this democratic and the humanistic organization was system one classical theory and superior style of types of leader, managerial style, and the science-based management and application of system for a managerial conflict. So the next heavy pressure to get the work done, they don't trust and have confidence. So they fix the targets of subordinate about without the consulting the subordinate. They exist close detailed supervision. They make the subordinate follow carrot and stick, and they work on the fear of the subordinate. They exert little pressure on the subordinate. They earn get the confidence and trust, and they fix the targets of their subordinate. They exercise general instead of the detailed supervision, so they try to make the subordinate obey the working. They have the job center supervision and employee center supervision. So this was the job centered, and they verify the findings linked associated with the job centers and which previously meant for the supervision and organization were employee centers. It was rapidly in the initial periods, and this after reaching to the plateau and gradual productivity. So initially this was change in productivity gradually but maintained, where job center supervision replaced the employee center. Linkert recognized effective supervision in the adaptive and relative process. It needs constant adaptation of the background, value, expectation, and skills, and it relative to the situation. So Linkert based on the assessment of analyzing the high performance and members organization where the members persons work for importance, and this was value, habits, and background and expectations, and this was belonging to the organization. Linkert, while discussing the supportive relationship, mentioned the interactive influence of system linking pin model. The supportive relationship was the should be strived to examine individual skills, resources, and different level of organization, the coordination, communication, decision making, and direction. Meanwhile, the linking pin model, and in linking pin model, this was overlapping of groups and roles and individual and member of the higher level group. So individuals act as a link to the both higher level, and every individual who have capacity to contribute allow the contribute to organization. And this was managers setting up the higher level. Therefore, the linking pin model is critical to democratic participation system and individual attainment to the organization. So Linkert had conceptualized the force system, and his force system was fact, and this was make the study for the amenable logic. Steep hierarchical structure, top-down approach by dimensional, a strict superior subordinate relationship, centralized decision making, dry supervision, excessive pressure and emphasis on target, low degree of employees and motivation, superior has no trust and confidence, subordinate are considered to be mature, lazy, subordinate don't like work, overlapping in structure and later cross-functional linkage, three-way communication, up, down, and lateral group decision process, adaptive supervision have trust and confidence, subordinate are believed to be matured and willing to work, and a high degree of motivation, managerial system intermediate to reveal the transitory. So still given an impression whatever